Yes.
Yes.
How many of you have done the homework? Nobody? Okay, so this is the homework. You just have to write a function that accepts 3 or 4 parameters and print it to the console. Okay, and the output has to be like this. So anybody has done, at least try it, or else I'll show it. Okay, so let's create reusable function in the class called string demo. Okay. Okay. So first, okay, I'll create one more test called string test. So in this string test, we are going to execute something. So I'll put this main function. Okay, so let me show you a simple example, and then we will go to that example, homework example. So string is not a primitive data type. What are the primitive data types? Integer, byte, short, character, boolean, all those are primitive data types, right? So string is not. So how can we deal with the string? So you just, a string is a class, and you just create string data type variable like this, string x. All right, and you can also assign a value to it like this. You can say John Doe. Okay, so there are a bunch of stuff you can do with strings, which are called string utilities, or in short, string utils. So first thing, how to find the length of a string, okay? Or how do you segregate a string, and store those string variables, string parts of string? How do you join the string? How do you use concatenation? All these things. Okay, so now I would like to find the length of this string. So if you calculate manually, what is the length of this string? Anybody? Yes. So what is the length of this string? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Correct? Okay, I'm going to call by names then. Jackie, what is the length of this string? Or Ashni? Anybody can speak. What is
Is it how many words is there? How many letters there?
Eight, right? Yep.
okay? Why
8.
8? Why not 7?
There's space in
Because of
between.
space.
Spaces could be count 1.
Space is counted as 1. That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay, good job.
Yeah.
Okay, now we are going to calculate the length programmatically. So the string class has a lot of functions, so that come along with the Java. When you download Java, so it will come. So there is no need to create a function for it. So we are going to use a built-in function. But any guesses? How do you call the built-in function? And how do you call it? How do you utilize it? So first, let me store the length of the string in another variable. So the length of the string is going to be an integer, correct? So let's declare the variable. Let's call it length of string. Okay, so x dot length is the function to find out the length of any string. The string variable dot is the access operator, right? And this will make you access all those functions available. And the length is a built-in function, so you can easily access it. And x dot length, or the string, any string dot length, bracket open, bracket close, that means it's a function, right? This is gonna return the length, actual length of this string, and store it. You can store it in integer. So the return type of this function is an integer. You can just check the signature of any function, whether it is built-in function or user-defined function, by hovering over this function. So all I am doing is just hovering and checking. So what is this? Int java.lang.string.length. So string is a class, right? And length is a function. Now what is java.lang? Java.lang is the package that string class belongs to. Okay, Java is the topmost package, and lang is a sub package in which string is a class and in which length is a function which is ready-made, built-in. So we didn't create it. It is automatically available when you download JDK. Okay, and length doesn't take any arguments, right? So we discussed about 4 types of functions which take arguments, which return, don't take, all those, right? And this particular function does not take any arguments, so you don't pass any arguments. But this function returns something. And what is the return type of this function? Integer. So you can read the whole definition, signature, example, if any, just by hovering over it. So this is called Java document, so which basically specifies how do you utilize this, the whole history of the function. You can also specify this. If you are creating a function, you can also specify, which we are going to do. So if you're confused any point of time what this length does, so you can read it here. It returns the length of the string. The length is equal to the number of Unicode code units in the string. So that means you have to count everything, including the space, which you have done manually. And sometimes it also specifies the example, like how do you use it. So in this case they haven't provided, that's fine, but let's see. So the best way to check any function's usability is by printing to the console. Okay, so I want to print the length of the string x. Now how can I print? I've already shown you how can I print. So anybody? So
integer of a string, length of a string.
Okay, so the length of the string x will be printed as it is. correct? So this will print it right over here. Now I want to add actual length of the string. Now you're saying length of the string, right? Now there is something you're missing. What is it?
Plus.
Now I give string. This is the integer. Now how do you combine both? Yes.
Do you need a plus
So
sign at the
when I
front?
directly put it like this is going to cause an error, right? Now if you want to combine two datas of different data type, there is something you need to put in between. What is it? I told you numerous times before, but I'm going to tell it again. Okay, plus is the one. What is plus called? Plus is correct. What is plus called?
Concatenate. What do you call?
Okay. Plus is called concatenation operator. Okay. So in case, always remember this. Okay. This is going to be useful throughout, whether you're going to be using it in development or automation testing. So it's going to be useful. And if this is a string, I am going to print it as is, right? So what you see is what you're going to get here. Now I'm going to print the integer also, but these two are different data types. This is a string and this is an integer, and the only way you have to combine them is by using the concatenation operator, which is plus. So remember that, do not forget. Okay, now let's go ahead and run it. Simple, no complication. Let's run it. Okay, so we didn't run it for the first time, so let's run it properly. Okay, so the length of the string x is 8, which is correct. Now, okay, so now I'm going to a little bit complicate this. John Doe, let's call Robertson, something like this. Okay, that's a name. Okay, so now I want to find I want to take actually, well, this is the first name, this is the middle name, this is the last name, let's say. Okay, now I want to print only the last name. Okay, now how do we print it? So all you have to do is x dot again, because that's all the string related functions are available ready-made. All you have to do is just put a dot and see what are available. So let's see. So x dot. Now these are all the available built-in functions. We haven't created them, and based on your query, you have to figure out if you actually used it one or couple times, you would remember it. So you don't have to search for it. You just type it partially and then use it. Okay. Now my query is I want to extract a part of this string and print it just like this. Let's say the part of the string x is blah blah blah. Okay. Now these are all related functions. There are a couple, I mean probably 100. Starting with caret equals, start with trim, length. Length is the one we just used, right? We just used. Okay. And chars, blah 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 blah. So there will be more. Okay. Now based on the query, I want you to make an educated guess what function is going to be useful if you want to extract a part of string. See it carefully. Do you find anything in the list that is visible right now? So this is called R&D. Sometimes we may not use all the functions available, right? So sometimes you have to check it. So I want you to look at it and tell me. Don't worry if you tell me the wrong answer.
Trim string. No.
Trim. Okay, so let's see. I'll tell you. Okay, the best way is to just dot and just click on it and see the left hand side or right hand side. Depending on the space available, it will show. This is called Java doc. I told you, right? Now you are saying trim. Okay. Now read about this stream. What this stream does. What this does, it returns a string whose value is a string with any leading or trailing white spaces removed. So what it does is, after reading this, for example, I have like this. There is a, I mean, by mistake, I put some space in the beginning or some space in the end or some extra space in the middle, right? Let's say, I mean, there is a space, there should be space between middle name and first name and last name. So, but beginning end, there are white spaces, right? Now, what the trim will do is, I will demonstrate you. It will remove the beginning and ending white spaces because these are mostly accidental. If you actually want them, you put them, but in case by mistake you put them, we want them to remove. So this is mostly it will be useful in entering data either in API testing or XML testing or even the front-end testing or database testing. So database also may have these spaces, so we will remove them. Okay, so the best way to use this is x.trim. Okay, now it's gonna return something, so I want to print it and show it to you, right? Now let's comment this one because, okay, let it be, it's fine. Okay, so we can either store it in another variable or we can directly print it. Okay, so instead of creating another variable and wasting time, so let's print it directly because both will do the same thing. So let's call it the trimmed string is, or just put colon this one. Again, I'm using concatenation operator and okay. So if you see error sign, red sign, that means you have done some syntactical error mistake or something. So I'm missing some bracket. Okay. Now let's run it and see what's the output. So the output is the trimmed string is John Doe Robertson, right? Without any space. I mean, you still see some space, but that is a space I put it deliberately. So let's remove that space just to make sure. Okay. And just to make sure there are no right side spaces, I'll also put something on the right side because we are just debugging it, right? So let me put end, okay? Or okay, instead of end, I'll put actually underscore. Okay, so the string here, all right, this is starting material because I put both underscore in the beginning end. So actual string is like space John, space Doe, space Robertson, space. Now what the trim will do is, trim will actually chop off the beginning and ending white spaces, which are blank spaces. Space or spaces. If you put more spaces also, it will remove. It will remove all of this. And it will print the remaining string. So this will be the remaining string, right? Okay, so now we have eliminated one possibility. That trim is not the function. Okay, my output should be like this. I'll just put a comment. My output should be part of this string. Okay, so let's take for example just first name John. Okay, but the whole string contains first name, middle name, last name. I only want part of it, right? Okay, so now let's keep searching. Okay, so trim is not the one because trim does the different job. Now which one is it? Okay, actually let me do scrolling. Okay, so I'm stopping at the point where one of the options is a suitable function. So you can make a guess now.
Could I do a split?
Sorry, which one?
Split.
Split. Okay, I'll tell you. Split is actually the opposite of. Okay, we will come to this. Split is not the right answer, but we'll come to that because I'm going to show the split later. That is for splitting. Split is
Okay,
also
Sangha,
we
maybe
can use. Okay,
substring then?
yeah,
Substring
substring is
integer
the correct
beginning?
answer. Okay, I'm going to show split also because split I was not looking for. I was looking for the answer substring. Okay, substring and substring with the beginning index and substring with beginning and end index. After seeing this, we will come to the split. Okay, split we can do many ways. One actually it returns array of strings. Okay, so because we have a string that contains multiple strings, if we treat first name as string, middle name as string, and last name as string, so when we split it, it's gonna store them in a array because array is going to store all this collection of strings, right? String array. So we'll go to that split later because it's a little more complicated. So let's focus on substring with beginning index and ending index. So you see two functions with the same name. Okay, I have already explained you, right? So if you see two functions with the same name, what is the concept called? Anyone?
Inheritance or something?
No, this is called overloading. In the last class I explained, right? So overloading is if you want to overload a function, what you do, you just change the signature. You keep the name, but you change the signature. Signature means you increase the number of arguments you can pass, or type of arguments, or return type, right? So we have seen this, which is a part of polymorphism.
Hello. Hello.
Join. I just joined again. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I joined. Cut the phone. Okay. So did everybody get my question? I think it was internet was disconnected some time back. Okay. So my question was, what is a function to find out a substring? The function name is substring itself, right? Now I was actually I was asking you, but there was no internet connection, so you couldn't hear. So when you already know the function name, you start typing it. Okay. For the first time, you can learn about it by scrolling and reading the Java doc. Since we have already known about it, then you can start typing sub and control space. All right. Now, can anybody tell me what is the function we just discussed about out of these three? Because when you type partially, it filters out so that you can see the less number of functions starting or ending with so and so wording. Okay, so what is the
second option?
second option? Good. Okay, then you can select automatically. It will autofill. Then it will ask you whatever the arguments are need to be filled in. It will ask you. Now you have to actually pass those arguments. Now what argument it is expecting you to enter here? Begin index, right, which is an integer. So obviously we want something starting from something. Okay. Now I want to start from, let's say, 0 1 2 3 4 5, fifth character, okay, or fifth index. Now if I pass 5, what would be the resultant output? Not this one, definitely. So what would be the output? Any guesses? So just guess and tell me.
Since it is a beginning index, isn't that should be John?
Okay. No, John is it. This means substring 5 means I want the string, okay, whose index starts from 5.
So it should be Doe and Robertson.
Correct. Yes, that's correct answer. Okay. Now let's actually type, sys out and see the output. Then we can verify it. So I'm going to print it. Let's print it descriptively so that even if you want to read it later, it will be understood. So the substring starting from index 5, okay, I'll just put equal sign and then plus this whole thing, right? So instead of storing it in another variable, I will just print it directly. So using concatenation operator like this. Okay. Now let's try and run this thing. Okay. So the substring starting from index 5 is Joe Robertson. That is correct, because starting from this John, Doe, Robertson, everything, right? Okay. Okay, so actually I will remove the spaces because it's gonna cause some confusion later. Just for the sake of trim, we can keep it, but I'm just, if there are no spaces, the trim will return the string as it is. So there is no problem. If you have the spaces leading and trailing, then it will remove them. If there are no spaces, it will return the whole string as it is. Okay. Now there is one more function, the overloaded function of substring, which actually asks you to enter two integers. One is the beginning index and one is the ending index. So that what it will do. So let's come from that side. Okay. So x dot substring. So let's use the first one. We just use the second one. Okay. It automatically says used because you just now used. It says used. So, and it also shows based on your query, the partial wording your type just now, based on what you're looking for, 33% match will be this one. So it's intelligent enough. I already told you last time, right? Eclipse would show you the more 33% match will be substring this one. So let's use it. Okay, so now this is the same function, but it's an overloaded version of it. That means it has different signature. The difference is it asks you to enter beginning index and ending index. Now what it will do, it will actually, whatever the number, index number, beginning and end you will enter, it will take the output appropriately. That means it will start from that index beginning and it will end at the end index, whatever end index you have specified, and it will only return that particular part of the string and you can print it or whatever. Okay, so now I will ask you a question. You can tell me the beginning index, because that's how it's better. You can practice more later, but that's a better way to learn. Okay, so I want to get the string from 5, okay, and end the string at 7. Okay, so what should be the output? So starting from 5 and ending at 7. Okay, what do you think the output should be?
DO.
Only DO or DOE or
DOE.
Only DO.
Okay, let's see. It depends whether the end index is inclusive or exclusive. We already know that the beginning index is inclusive. That means it is included, right? Now we don't know for sure whether the ending index is inclusive or exclusive. Okay, so now we have to make sure that. How do we make sure? Simply go to that function declaration and see. Okay, okay, so this function declaration, you can't go to the jar. So because jar is it doesn't have the Java files, it only has the class files, right? So you see all the class files. You have to decompile it in order to see its source code, but we don't have source code. So the best way is, again, go to the Java doc, just like we have done before. Okay, x dot substring. Just press on this and see on the left or right side. So the second one. So this is the function we are going to use right now, substring, with 2 parameters. One is beginning index and one is ending index, integers both. Okay, so you can read about this whole thing here. Okay, parameters section will elaborate that thing. Okay, beginning index, the beginning index which is inclusive, correct? Inclusive means it is included. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is included. Now ending index is exclusive. That means it is not included. So you have to pass the number in such a way that the last number is excluded. You still get the desired output, right? My desired output is do. Now, if I pass 5, will it start from do? Yes, because J is 0, O is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth index is do, D, and according to the Java doc, it is included. So my output will start from do. Okay, 5 is D and 6 is O, 7 is E. Correct. Now what I did was I passed it 7, but according to Java doc, the substring with 2 parameters, the ending index is exclusive. That means whoever said DO, they are right. Their answer is correct. However, I want the output that includes DOE. Now, how do I change my parameter to suit that? If I want DOE, I have to pass an extra +1. Okay, so just remember this 8, because 8 is exclusive. It's not inclusive. That means it's not included. So if I take till this space, this is the 8th, and it's gonna return me DOE, but exclude the whatever the rest of the string is. So let's run and see. Okay, so output is DO. So obviously, if you had entered 7, it would have written only till this portion. So it's neither right nor wrong, but all depends in how what output you want. Okay, if you want this output, you enter the appropriate number. I mean appropriate parameter. If you want this number on this much only, you enter that. But accidentally, if you enter 7, then you are getting this, and you want this whole thing, then you have to correct it. So obviously, that's a part of debugging. So we just did. So this is one sysout debug. We can do other type of proper debugging. I'll show you later. Okay. So let's move on to the other function. So now we have done. If we give the index, it will return
I have a question.
part of string. Yeah. Go ahead.
Sound like silly. Since integer means number, why you choose integer for a string?
No, what do you mean? Integer is number. That is correct.
Right, after a string x variable, you have x equal to John Doe, and then you have integer as a length of a string. Why you choose integer?
Oh, you mean the x dot length? Because you just check this. What its return type is? Its return type is integer. So obviously I have to store this value in integer type variable, right?
Okay.
Okay. So
Got it.
common sense is length is an integer, right? Length is an integer in Java. Okay. In other way, what if I store this in a string length? Let's see. Will it throw an error or not? X dot length. Okay. So this is what, if you do this, it would be an error. Why? Just hover over this red line, red underscore, this red line. That means it's error. Now see, read this, what it says. What it is saying actually?
So you cannot convert this to string. Got you.
Correct. That's a type mismatch. That means this is saying, hey, length is the function whose return type is integer. Now what you're doing is you are trying to store an integer variable in a string variable, which is a type mismatch. Okay, exactly, that's what it is saying. Now it is also giving you a suggestion. Okay, change type of length to integer. Now if I click on this, it will automatically change string to integer. So let's try and see. So this is a commonly made mistake. So you can correct this just by see automatically. I didn't type it. I didn't remove the string and type integer. It automatically, I just went for the suggestion given by the Eclipse, and it automatically laid. That means this is correct. Okay. So now this should answer your question. Now, did you understand why we are using integer to store this length?
Yes.
Why not others? Yeah. So that's a good question, because if you make a mistake, you can learn from it. So we just made a mistake and automatically pointed out. Eclipse points out automatically. So you don't even have to worry about this. Then you can see the suggestions. You can go, it might give you one or more suggestions. So you have to go for the correct suggestion. So again, learning by making mistakes. So, okay. So next go to the another query. Now my query is, I want to find a character. Okay, so remember what I'm speaking is character, not the string. String is a collection of characters. I want to find out a character located at a particular index. That's my query. Okay, now how do I find it? Okay, manually I'll tell you. If I want to find out character at let's say 3, index 3, what it would be? What is the actual character at index 3 in this string?
You mean the last name?
No, this one, the whole, I mean, I'm referring to the, okay, just to avoid this confusion, I will make it like this. Okay, so always the first string is the string we are talking about. We are taking substring, we are doing bunch of stuff, right? Into length of the string. So always refer to X. Okay. Now my question is, I want to find out a character which is located at the index number 3. And what is the answer? Find out manually. Look with your eyes, count it, and tell me the answer manually.
10.
N. Correct. 0, J, O, 1, H, 2, N, 3. Correct. Now let's find out the same output programmatically using Java. Okay. So that's what we have to do. Okay. Now, in order to find out the appropriate character at particular length, particular index, what is the function we have to use? That's a query, right? Always we have to use some function. If there is a function available, we will use it. Use the built-in function, just like we did like this. If it is not available, we have to write one, which is going to be a user-defined function. String has a lot of functions available. First, always you check whether the function is available or not. If it is available, you use it. If it is not available, you make it. Okay. So we made some functions. Remember, add, subtract, division, multiplication. Those are user-defined functions because those are not available ready-made. Maybe they are available if you use a particular jar, but in order to learn, we created them, library functions. Now let's see if we have one of these. So best way to put is x dot. Okay. The string dot is the operator which is going to which will make you access the available functions. Okay. Now watch the list of available functions and tell me which one is the most nearest match. You can see it.
The first one, 55%.
Okay, no. Don't go by the 55%. 55% we haven't started, right? I just typed x dot. Now my query is, listen to the query carefully. I want to find the character at a particular index. Now just read through. Don't go by the 55%. That is different story.
It should be the 2% one, char at index.
Correct. Caret, not charet. Char means character. Characterate. That is appropriate. So based on the query, you find the appropriate function. Now my query is, I want to find out a character at a particular index. It's exactly like this, caret particular index. So don't go by 2% because we haven't specified the whole thing here. I just typed x dot. So this is just 55% is, it will make a guess. Okay, this is what you want. So let's find out what it means. Okay, so character at. Now I'll just press single time only. Don't press double time because double time will actually type it. I mean, it will type caret there. So single time, just press it and it will show the whole subject matter about this particular caret, which is Java. Okay. Now it's first thing it will show you is the, what is this called? This is a signature. What is a signature? Signature of the function tells you what its access modifier, what its list of or data type of arguments, and what its return type is. Okay. Now its access modifier is public. You know, public means it can be accessible anywhere. If it is private, we wouldn't be accessing it because it's private to the class. Now public makes it accessible outside the class. Okay. Now character, it is a function name. So what, any function, take some arguments, don't take arguments, return something, or don't return. Okay, so there are 4 types, I already told you. Now this particular function takes one argument. Okay, what is that argument type? Argument type is integer. That means you must enter integer only. Okay, if you enter in other data type, it will show you type mismatch, just like it did just before, right? Now it returns a character. Okay, that means you have to store this function's value in a character type data type variable. If you try to store it in another data type variable, it will throw mismatch again. Same thing, same story. Then you see the look at the error, then you go for the quick fix suggestion, then it will fix it, or you have to fix it manually. Okay, now what it does, first is this is a function name, this is a signature, this is a description. So read it. you only read it for the first time because we are using it first time. I am showing it you. If you actually used this function a couple times, you don't have to read every time, right? Because you already used, you have hands on. Okay, so this returns a character value at the specified index. That's exactly what we want, correct? Now an index range from 0 to length -1. Okay, so 0 starting from 0 until length -1 because it starts from 0, right? If it starts from 1, it would be 1 to length, correct? Because it starts from 0, length -1, obviously 1 will be decreased, right? That's common sense. Now the first char value of the sequence is at index 0, exactly. The next at the index 1, exactly, and so on and so forth, correct? 0, 1, 2, 3. It's elaborative, very elaborative. If you read it, you don't get any doubts. As for array indexing, exactly. In an array also, index starts from 0. I showed you before in the last class, if you remember. Don't worry, we'll show. We will see more examples on array later. But time being, you just understand that, and just like an array, the index of string starts from 0 and goes till length -1. Okay. If the char value specified by the index is surrogate, the surrogate value is returned. Okay, don't worry about this. Specified by character in interface, don't worry about this. Now let's focus on parameters. Parameters is the parameters which you need to pass at the time of calling the function. Now how many parameters? Just one parameter. And what is a parameter? Index. And what is its integer? Okay, so you have to pass an integer. And what it returns? What is the return type? So its return type is a character, right? Character at particular index. Okay. Now what it throws? Index out of bounds, because we are passing the correct value. It didn't throw any error, but we can try and see what it exception throws. We can learn more about this in the exception handling, which we will go. I think I already introduced you to the exception handling, try catch finally, right? So we will see more about this. Now best way is to use it. So double click will actually type it, or you can type partially just like I did before. So there are a bunch of ways you can call the function. Okay, so now what my query was, I want to get an index, the character at a particular index. It's a reverse way. These are like the index. If I want a certain portion of the string from so and so index to so and so index. Now the query is reverse. I want a character at particular index. Now, okay, let's say I want a character at 5th index. Now the answer was 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, my earlier question was 3, but I just made change to that query. I want a character at 5th position. Okay, so best way to find this out is by printing this. Okay, so just to be elaborative, I mean just to keep it as a reference, I am just being elaborative. So let's print it very clearly. The character at the index 5 equals, okay, so again this will return a character. If you want to store this in a variable, what it should be character, correct? Character y. This is how you have to store it. If you try to store this value in any other data type other than character, it will throw an error right away. So let's try and see that also. Integer. Okay, there is another function. It also deals with integer, but let's not go.
It took it.
Let's try string. Okay, so it shows. Yeah, it also deals with integer ASCII type. So that's fine. So if you double or anything other than this, okay, double is also integer. Okay, it's numbers. Don't worry about the numbers. There are other overloaded functions. Maybe okay. So let's directly print it. Just remember, I was just showing you. If you use any other data type which is not allowed, try to store it in that variable. It will throw error. If it didn't throw error, that means it is acceptable. So just understand it. Okay, so now it is going to return some character and print it. So because I wanted to show you how it shows output, I'm directly putting in sysout. Otherwise I would have just put it like this in each and every variable. Okay, so what should be the output right now? The character at the index 5 would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what will be the output if I press run?
John?
No, this is a single character. So I just showed you, right? So okay, read this.
Sorry, empty space then or Joe?
No, wrong answer. Read again. I just explained you, right? It's a
It's going
single
to
character
D.
at a particular index. In a particular given index, single character.
D.
Correct. D is the answer. So it just count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. D is the correct answer. So let's try and verify that. Yes, D. So it's little bit confusing, but don't worry, you will get used to it. So this query is if I give index, it will return me the substring. But this is the other way around. If I give the number, it will give me the character. Understood? Okay, so just go by the name. So if you get at any point of time, if you get confused, the function name will tell everything. Character at particular index. It's so simple. You don't need to get confused. Substring at particular index. Correct. Particular index or particular range. Okay. Now let's look at other. I mean, I'm not going through all the functions. I don't want to do that because it's going to take a lot of time. Only I'm choosing the important ones, which are frequently used, very frequently. Okay, so let's see the index of. Okay, so index of character. Okay, obviously it's a reverse way of this. Okay, if I give a character, it will tell you what index the particular character is positioned at. Okay, so let's read the Java doc a little bit. So I'm going to pass character, single character. Okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, whatever it is. Then it is going to tell me what is the index of it. Now you might get a doubt, right? The particular character might be repeated couple times in a string, right? What about that situation? Any guesses? So for example, I want a index of O in this particular string. So O is repeated how many times? 1, 2, 3. John has O, Doe has O, Robertson has O. Okay. So what it is going to look at it? So obviously it's the first letter, first character, first occurrence. Okay. If you read this, you will understand. Returns the index within the string of the first occurrence. Okay. So it is going to ignore the rest of the occurrence of particular character, but it will only focus on the first occurrence. Whatever is first, it will return that index. Okay. Now, so let's try and see. I'm going to ask you question. X dot index of. Okay, I want an index of particular character. Now I'm going to take this. You can also, there are bunch of index ofs. Okay, these are all overloaded functions, but most widely used is first one. Okay, so always you put a character in a single quote. Okay, just like we put a string in a double quote, you put character in a single quote. Okay, now my query would be, okay, let's take O only. Okay, let's take more examples about this. Okay, now can you guess what should be the output? I'll put it in a sysout. Before running, you can make an educated guess and tell me. Okay, tell me now.
It should be the first one, John.
What is actually the output? Tell me the output, exact output.
Yes,
The
one.
Index of O. Which one?
1.
Okay, 1. Let's see if it is correct or not. Okay, as per the definition, 1 is correct because it always looks at the first occurrence of O. First occurrence of O is J is 0, O is 1. Perfect. Even though there are other O's, it's going to ignore it, right? Now let's try and run and verify. The index of O is 1. Perfect. As per the definition, that's what it is. So if you get a query in your automation or development, hey, I want the index of particular character in a particular string, then you use this x.indexOf and pass the character, then boom, you're going to get that particular index. Then you can do whatever you want to do with it later. That's later. Okay, but the thing is, you have to understand if your query is so, can you do it or not in Java. So everything can be done in Java if you get a right query, and if you know what to use, then you will get the output. So the thing is, you have to know what you want, and you have to know how to get it. So we just used IndexOf, so we know right now. So going forward, if you get a similar query, you can use it. So why not we use it again and see. Okay, so right now I want the index of let's make example. Okay, R. Okay, what should be the output?
Nine.
Okay, now let's run and say I don't know the answer. So correct, 9 is the correct answer. You counted correctly. So that means you don't have to count it correctly. You don't have to even manually count it. So the reason I asked you is, can you understand manually first, then understand what the significance of this function is. So if you get a query like you have to get an index of particular character, you have to know that you have to use a function called IndexOf. If you at least you know certain part of it, you can still get the job done. So if you don't know, then all you have to do is
Sangam, I
just
have a question.
go ahead.
The console it says the index of O is 9. It's not R.
Index of O is 9. No, I told you, right? First occurrence will be
Looking at the
taken.
console, what is it? Is it R or O? What at the very end of the console?
This oh, okay, this is a mistake. Okay, this is just a typo mistake. I have to
Oh,
print
sorry,
R here,
sorry.
right?
I thought it's O.
This is a typographical mistake. Don't worry about it, because I copy pasted that. That's why you see. Okay, now right now you will get R. Okay, so the index of R is 9. The important thing is this one, not this one. These you can make the stuff up. Like you can put whatever you want to in this. Index of R instead of equal sign, I can put is or just colon. It's all your choice, right? But the thing is, you have to know this one. This is very important. You can put whatever you want to. This is just for the printing sake. Okay. Now let's try and see the the other one. In the first time somebody asked it, how do you split, right? So let's try and use that. Okay. Now John Doe Robertson. John Doe Robertson are different parts of a name. First name, spaced with middle name, and spaced and last name, right? Now I want to store these in a separate variables. Okay. Now first thing you have to understand is what is the delimiter. Okay, there should be some delimiter, otherwise it's very difficult to segregate the portions of the string. Now I want to split this string at what? That's the next question. You want to split a string at a certain delimiter. Okay, so this has got a delimiter. What is it? Delimiter here is, what is the delimiter? Anyone? It's a space, right? First, middle, and last names are segregated by a space. That is called delimiter. It could be anything. It could be comma, it could be semicolon, or whatever. So in this case, we can deal with. If you understand that there is a delimiter, you can put whatever delimiter you want to. I can still get you the split string. Okay. So now I want to you want to split this string, right? Now split, when this is a one string, so obviously I'm storing it in string variable, but when it is split, right, this is treated as separate string, this is treated as separate string, and this is treated as separate. So you will get three strings, or depending upon the number of delimiter it has, you will get that many. So in this case there are only two delimiters, you will get three separate strings. So it's always plus one. Number of delimiters plus one is the number of substrings you are going to get, split string. So obviously you cannot store these variables in a string, right? Because there are three. So you have to use a string array to store these split strings. So the return type of that split should be a string array. So let's try and see. Now obviously I have to use again x dot, or the whatever the string dot is. Now split. Okay, I want to use a split because I know I have used. So let me type partly, SPLIT. There you go. As in when I type partly, it showed me the results, just like Google filters out, right? Query. Now split, there are two. Okay, don't worry about this because it also looks for the inside, in the middle or string, not just the starting split. So there are two overloaded functions, split. What are those? So first split is taking just one argument, string regex. Okay, you don't have to look on the left side, you can just read this thing and understand what its signature is. Split function takes one string, which is a regular expression, as argument, and just like I explained you just now, it returns a string array, because obviously you have to store bunch of strings, right? So you need to have the string array declared, otherwise you cannot store them, not just one, store them. Okay, so the other one is overloaded function. This takes regular expression and integer limit also. You can limit it, this will go all the way till end, and this will, you can limit it. So this is most widely used, so I'm going to explain. You can just play with this. Okay, so if I explain one, you can obviously see. Okay, now let's look at some examples, or let's directly jump into it. So split the string about match is given by regular expression. So don't worry what regular expression is, we will go into this details later, but I'll just touch upon it. So if I have this, then this here is a whole string, and the delimiter is colon here instead of space colon. Now I want to split this at this delimiter. So boo and foo will be separately stored. So boo and foo will be separately stored in a string variable. So let's try and use this split. Okay, so I wanna split at this position. Okay, now this is going to return me a string array, correct? So obviously I have to create a string array. So let's use the name as parts of string. Okay, so don't worry, this is just warning. The yellow means warning because we haven't used this variable yet, so it will show warning. So you can ignore that. So there are two ways you can declare a string array variable, right? One is string followed by bracket open bracket close, then variable name, just like we regularly do this string and this. Or you can put this bracket open bracket close here also. Both are acceptable. Okay, so we will use the standard nomenclature like this. String x is equal to so and so, right? In the similar way, all you have to do is just put this bracket open bracket close, then boom, this is treated as a string array, not a simple string but a string array. Okay, now what it will do, x will be split at the delimiter called space. Okay, so it's gonna segregate John, Doe and Robertson and put this into string array. Now how can I access those? That's the problem, right? Now if I want to print them, I have to access them individually, right? Let's say I want to print first name, middle name, last name separately. Now how to access them? X is out. So let's say I'm going to put print like this, just like the example I gave you, right? Shah Rukh Khan, that example. So we are coming to that, towards it slowly. So the first name equals plus something. Okay, I'll put something here. Now part of string has all these names: John Doe, Robertson. Now first name is John, right? Now part of string, if I print it like this, it's not going to print the John Doe, Robertson or anything like that. It will print something else totally. So now how do we access just John? Because John is somewhere in here and this is in the string array. So remember I told you about a string array before. So string has indexes, correct? Indexes 0, 1, 2, just like string array has indexes, right? So first part of the split string will be stored in the index number 0. All right. That means this is just gonna print the first name, whatever the first name of X is. Okay, John. Okay, similarly, I can. So this is how you access the parts of the string when you use the split function. So the second will be name, and the index will be 1. And last name. So if you want to do some repeatable operations, you can use a for loop. So we have already seen before, right? So the for loop, you can loop it and print. We printed some multiplication table, remember? Okay, so this is similar to that, but we are using the split function here. Okay, so let's try and run. Okay, the first name is John, the middle name is Doe, and the last name is Robertson. So basically what it did was, it just segregated, the split function actually segregates at a specified delimiter. Okay, so how does it know the delimiter is space? Because we paused it, right? This I am telling it explicitly. Hey, the delimiter is space, and you cut it at the space and give me the parts. Okay, that's what it did. Okay, so likewise there are a bunch of other functions. So I want you to take a look at them and play with them. So there are many. So if you go through all of these, it's going to take a lot of time. And okay, starts with, this is, it sounds as whatever the name is, you can just guess it. Okay, starts with, if you pass a string, starts with what? Okay, so then it will return boolean. Okay, if it starts with so and so string, it will return true. If it doesn't start with so and so string, the particular string doesn't start with so and so part of string, it will return false. So you can understand the nature of this function just by looking at it. Okay, but you can read it just like this, that will give you more exposure. Okay, so okay, a bunch of more stuff I can tell you, but okay, I'll take replace and lowercase and uppercase. Okay, so let's take a look at this, lowercase and uppercase. Okay, so sometimes you need to only take the lowercase letters. Even I put the mixed case, right? John, Doe, Robertson is in mixed case. Now I want to return lowercase, all lowercase, John, Doe, Robertson. So there is a function for it, to lowercase. Okay, so this is gonna return the whole string as this, but only in lowercase. So let's try and see that. The name in lowercase is x dot lowercase. Okay, let's retype it again. So always put plus and do whatever you want to do here. Add it, x dot to lowercase. Now it will simply print lowercase. Okay, now let's also type, let's also get the output, everything in uppercase. Okay, so we will run the whole thing at the very end instead of running again. Okay, now you tell me What would be the function if I want the whole thing in uppercase? X dot. Yes. 2 uppercase. Okay. So let's try. So everything in lowercase and everything in uppercase, right? Okay. Now there would be situation in which you want to replace some characters with your desired characters or whatever, numbers or whatever. So there is a function for that too. Okay. Replace all. So for example, I want to replace these spaces with let's say underscores or whatever. Okay, so let's try and see. Sys out the replaced string is, let's call it. Okay, now x dot replace. Okay, so there are a bunch of functions available. Okay, replace so into character, but I am interested in replace all spaces with underscores. That's my query, right? Okay, there is replace first also. If you just want to replace the first space with the underscore only, then you can use the last one. But my query is I want to replace all spaces with all underscores, so that it will look like John underscore Doe underscore Robertson. Okay, so just an example. So we can use this. It's available. Replace all. Now it's asking you to enter regular expression. Regular expression, we will go. For example, if I want to replace all numbers, I can put a regular expression for the regular expression for a number is \d or 0 to n. We will go into that later because it's too premature to go into regular expressions. For now, my simple query is I just want to replace the spaces. So okay, so the what I want to replace is with space. And what is my replacement character? What do you want to replace with? Okay, underscore or whatever. Okay, so simple query replace all takes 2 strings or one regular expression, one string. First you have to enter what do you want to replace. Okay, and second thing you have to enter is what do you want to replace with. Okay, space and underscore. So let's try. See, yes. So all things, all the desired characters are replaced by my other desired character. So you can try more. Okay, so now let's just go into the homework. Okay, so just to get the homework done, you have to go through all this because these are important string related utilities. Okay, so anybody has done this homework? No? Write a reusable function that accepts 3 strings. Okay, this is not difficult anymore, is it? Because we have learned bunch of stuff about strings, so you can easily get it done. So write a reusable function that accepts 3 strings. All right, first name, middle name, last name, and 1 integer. Okay, so 4 are parameters, 3 strings, 1 integer, age, and print it to the console the details of person. Okay, just like this. Okay, so it doesn't even, you don't have, you can do away with arrays. You can just use the simple function and a bunch of string utilities and concatenation operator. That's it. Okay, you don't have to use loop also. Okay, so let's try and do this. So reusable function, let's make it. So I'm going to make the reusable function right here. So how do you make it? Public void. So let's call this string util for the time being. Okay, so that's my function signature. So I'm making this a function. So obviously this function is called user defined function, isn't it? The function which is ready-made, available ready-made is called built-in function. The function we are creating as a users is called user defined function. Okay, what my motto is? My motto is the function must accept 4 parameters, 3 strings and 1 integer. Okay. So now how do you make it? String first name, let's call fn, string ln, string string mn, middle name, and string ln, and one last is integer age. All right. Okay, and it's not returning anything, but it is just printing something, so we can keep it as a void. Okay, now you just print it to the console like this. Okay, so I can get it done in one single line, sys out. Okay, now sharp first name, middle name, last names, age is so and so years. That's all I have to print it, right? So first name space. Okay, now you have to use the concatenation operator carefully. That's all you got to do. Plus there is a space, correct, plus mn plus space plus ln. Okay, so then here there is apostrophe and s, right? So how do we use it? Plus ln, there is no space. Immediately after the last name there is apostrophe, right? So I'll put it like this, apostrophe s, and there is a space. So I can take a space right here because the whole thing is a string, right? Age is, okay, and there is a space, then concatenation operator, then number of years. So whatever the age is, you just put that age. This is a variable. Okay, always remember that whatever is in burgundy, those are variables. Whatever is in black, whatever is in blue, those are strings. Age is 55. What that means? Age is age, then space, all right, and years. Okay, so this is what I want output. So let's try and execute it. So now how can I execute this? Can I execute it right away? Anyone? How do you execute a reusable function? By calling it. Call it in a main function. Okay, I'm calling it here. What is the function name? String. So you have to make a static. Util. Okay. Why did I make a static? I already told you, right? The difference between static and non-static. So I'm going to access this in a static function. So obviously the function has to be static. Otherwise you cannot access. Okay. Now this reusable function, but user-defined function, is asking you to enter 4 parameters. So let's add 4 parameters according to our homework. We have to add these, right? So let's add these as parameter. And age is an integer, so integer has to be entered outside the quotes. Okay. Now if I execute this, it has to print like this. Okay, exactly like this. Otherwise it's not correct. Okay, we have to make some corrections maybe. Okay, let's try and see. So did it print exactly, or is there any difference? Yes, no? Any correction needed, or Everything is okay? Just compare. Everything is okay or not? This is the output and this is the output. This is the expected output. This is the actual output. Are they both same? Just compare and tell me. Are they equal or not? They are equal. Okay, so they are equal. They are exactly equal. Okay. Okay, so it's already late. I think all of you are sleeping. Okay, I'll end this session today. Here. Good night.